Imagine the unbearable pain of losing a child to senseless violence, only to have the legal system seemingly undo the justice you thought had been served. That's the reality for the family of Mikey Roynon, a 16-year-old whose life was tragically cut short. Two teenagers, initially convicted in connection with his death, have now walked free, and the reasons why are stirring up a storm of emotions and questions. Cartel Bushnell, now 17, and Leo Knight, now 18, were originally jailed for the manslaughter of Mikey Roynon. Mikey, remember, was fatally attacked with a zombie knife at a house party in Bath back in June 2023. The actual stabbing was carried out by Shane Cunningham, also just 16 at the time, who was convicted of murder and remains in prison, despite his own attempts to appeal. But here's where it gets controversial. Bushnell and Knight weren't convicted of wielding the knife themselves. Instead, they were found guilty of manslaughter under the principle of joint enterprise. This legal concept, which allows someone to be held responsible for a crime even if they didn't directly commit it, as long as they assisted or encouraged the perpetrator, has always been a subject of intense debate. Was it justly applied in this case? After serving over 2 years, Bushnell and Knight successfully appealed their convictions in May. The Lady Chief Justice Baroness Carr, along with Mr. Justice Bryan and Mr. Justice Kavanaugh, overturned their manslaughter convictions while simultaneously rejecting Cunningham's appeal against his murder conviction. This ruling was initially kept under wraps due to a planned retrial. However, the judges later revealed that the prosecution ultimately presented no evidence that could support the convictions, leading to the lifting of reporting restrictions. And this is the part most people miss. Baroness Carr pointed to a crucial error in the instructions given to the jury. This accidental, but critical, error rendered the convictions unsafe. Christopher Quinlan KC, during a hearing on October 29, stated that there was no longer a realistic prospect of successfully convicting the pair of manslaughter. The Crown Prosecution Service echoed this sentiment, citing changes with the evidence available and a subsequent review that led to the conclusion that a conviction was no longer viable. So, while the public may feel that justice hasn't been served, the legal system is bound by evidence and procedure. CCTV footage played a significant role during the initial trial, showing Bushnell, Knight, and Cunningham armed with knives on a bus as they traveled from Devizes to Bath. While the manslaughter convictions were overturned, the convictions for possessing an offensive weapon still stand. Given that Bushnell and Knight had already served 28 and 24 months in custody, respectively, and that these terms exceeded the maximum sentence for possessing an offensive blade, the Court of Appeal ruled that they were to be released. Mikey Roynon's mother, Haley Ryle, described the news of the teenager's release as a punch in the stomach. She expressed the profound sense of reliving the trauma of the original trial and the subsequent rebuilding process. In a poignant statement, she said to the released teenagers, "They've got a second chance now. Mikey doesn't get a second chance. We don't have a second chance to change what has happened. Just don't get into this mess again. Take that opportunity because you're quite lucky to have a second chance." Detective Superintendent Mike Buck of Avon and Somerset Police's Major Crime Investigation Team emphasized the brutal nature of Mikey's murder. He acknowledged the devastating impact of the news on Mikey's family and commended their courage and dignity throughout the ordeal. Buck also highlighted the family's inspiring work in raising awareness about the dangers of knife crime since Mikey's death, urging everyone to remember and respect their efforts. Simon Clark from the Crown Prosecution Service extended condolences to Mikey's family and reiterated the CPS's commitment to prosecuting knife crime offenders. This case raises some incredibly difficult questions. Should the joint enterprise law be reformed, or is it a necessary tool for holding accomplices accountable? Even though the teenagers are free, is there a sense in which they continue to bear some moral responsibility for the events that led to Mikey's death? What is the appropriate balance between ensuring justice for victims and upholding the principles of a fair trial? What steps can society take to prevent young people from carrying knives in the first place? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below.